Hello and welcome back to Gamers Remorse. Today we're checking out the game Gentlemen Thieves, or at least that's what it says in the box. However, it actually was rebranded to Rogues to Riches. This is by Grow Giant Games. The reason they changed it is because Asmodee had a game with the exact same title, Gentlemen Thieves. They probably thought better of it. So I might refer to it as Gentlemen Thieves throughout this review. However, you should check it out as Rogues to Riches. Alright, so let's take a look at gameplay. Alright, here we are with Gentlemen Thieves. Here are the components. You have a deck of loot cards, a deck of trap cards, a deck of tool cards, and of course your pile of gold. There are 2 dice to be rolled during this game, and each player is given a dungeon card to go ahead and start with. So here we have the bank, which has a description, which is just flavor text. Special, which is unique to the bank. So whenever the bank defender plays a trap, they first draw 3 cards and choose 1 to play, discarding the rest. Over here we have the ancient prison, flavor text again, and then a trigger, causing any strong shakes or putting any strain on the walls or ceiling will bring stones crushing down around you. So basically a limitation of things that can happen. And then over here we have the Boiler Tavern Room, which description, flavor text, and then obstacle again. The burly tavern barkeep, greasy head chef, don't appreciate the disturbance you are causing. They try to throw you out. So an additional obstacle you have to deal with. Each dungeon is given a loot card here. And then players at the beginning of the game are given 1 trap card, which they put down in front of themselves, the farthest left location. And then each player is also given 4 tool cards. Basically, how the game plays out is a player has their own mat, right? They're both a dungeon lord of sorts and a thief. They're given the 4 cards to deal with, 4 tool cards to use to try and steal from another player's dungeon. So, for instance, here are 4 tool cards. Let's say we are the bank. We're going to go ahead and try and break into the Boiler Room Tavern. So first things first, we have a walking stick that has a sword in it, if you read the fine details. The vial of acid, enough for 2 5-foot splashes, give or take. A utility belt, and a top hat. So the Boiler Room Tavern, if you remember, we want to avoid the obstacles. So the burly tavern barkeep, greasy head chef, don't appreciate the disturbances you are causing. They try to throw you out. So basically you want to be pretty much quiet. You don't want to cause a disturbance there. And then of course up here we have what the obstacle is. So 3 men with swords. This is serious. They might do you harm. One of them is very tall. One of them is very fat. So we could say is, alright, we show up to this event, we show up to this dungeon, and we throw the vial of acid on 2 of the guys, right? Let's say the fat one, because he's an easier target, and let's say the medium one, right? And then with the tall guy, well, we have a walking stick that has a sword in it, so we're going to unsheath that and then stab the 3rd guy to make it through to get this award. Well, then the defender now has a turn to refute that and say, well, I should mention that the tall one that you didn't throw the acid on, he's actually a fencing champion, and he himself already has a sword out, so he beats you in combat, right? So then players each now say whether they did or didn't defeat. Let's say we're playing with 3 players, thief doesn't get to vote. The defending person would now say, I don't think he does because of the fencing champion thing. Other player would now say, yeah, I think he does. He got the drop on him. It makes sense. So If you read down here, it tells you exactly what to do. So you now vote. So you have 1 yes and 1 no. So roll 2 dice. Every yes adds 1. Every no subtracts 1. So basically you get no bonus here. Your objective is to try and get 8 or more. So you roll 2 dice. And we rolled an 8. So we succeeded in this case. We would discard these 2 cards for playing them. And then we also get this amount of gold. So we grab 3 gold from our gold pile. Place them right there as their own personal pool. Those are basically victory points later on. Okay, so these have been spent. They get discarded. We draw up our remaining amount. Da-da-da. So now we have a thieves outfit and a battering ram. It now becomes the next player's turn. Since this was defeated, this goes away. This gets discarded as a trap. And we also get this loot item. This gets discarded. It actually gets flipped upside down. And look, there's another location. So then we grab another loot card, so on and so forth. And that's pretty much the game. Oh, I should have specified that the game, when the game does end, you count up your number of gold, and that is the player, the winner, right? So that's the game. So that was Gentlemen Thieves. Basically, as you saw, the game was all about using your brain, right? Which is kind of fun. It's kind of different. It kind of bridges the gap between a board game and an RPG, right? Which is probably what they were going for here. Yeah, you had a certain set of cards that you could use, but how you used those was entirely based on how creative you can think, you know? And also, how you can defend against that is how creative you can think based upon your trap cards. So it was very even in that mindset. Overall, we liked it. We really did. It was fresh. It was refreshing. This could easily be a pickup game. I don't know if it would be the main event ever, but it could be, you know, depending on the group you have, you know. One thing we did see as a downside to this game is that if you have any players who are particularly competitive, right, they could say, no, they didn't pass it because it's my trap, or they have the most gold, so no, they didn't pass that trap. You know, you have room for that avenue of people's response, which is unfortunate. And I think that really just comes down to you need to choose who you're going to play this game with, right? It's still a blast, a lot of fun. People need to play this game for the fun of it. As I saw, I believe it went on Kickstarter. It was successful, so it's probably out there as Rogues to Riches. The artwork, it kind of reminds me of Munchkin in a way, you know, just silly text, silly drawings, you know, not that detailed, but that kind of adds to the calamity and fun of the different thieving attempts. So overall, we would recommend it. This is probably one of the more fun indie games we have played. So definitely check it out. This has been by Grow Giant Games. All right, thanks. Bye.
We'll be right back.